Hello everybody, welcome to Dulcimerica. My name is Futch, and all of this year we've been focusing on fundamental stuff for the mountain dulcimer, music theory, and understanding the musical language so we can play this authentic American instrument even better. Thank you very much for joining me. Today we're going to continue in that vein with a study on the 1-4-5 chords. What are they? What do they mean? And why does it matter? We'll cover all that in just a little bit. But first, I want to say thank you to one of my patrons on Patreon, Kat Van Ruyen. Kat, thank you very, very much for becoming a patron, and I thank you and all of my patrons for the work that you do in the background here at the studio every single day. You know, when I wake up in the morning, I think, what can I do for my patrons? Because you guys make it possible for Dulcimerica to be produced. You also take care of a lot of the unseen costs, things like cloud-based storage, software upgrades, gear upgrades, and everything else that helps keep the studio running. I'm very much appreciative of all of my patrons, and Kat, thank you again very much for hopping on board. Now, for those of you wondering what Patreon basically is, it's a subscription service for all of my art. That's music, books, tablature, and video, all yours to download for just $5 a month, and that's everything I've ever done, plus everything that I'm doing currently. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. So if you're interested in getting a peek at what that's all about and you want to download some free stuff, come on down here to patreon.com/bingfutch. Go to the featured tag section and click on Open House. All of that is yours to download and enjoy. And if you like it, please do consider becoming a patron like Kat. Again, Kat, thank you. All right, with the sounds of my lawn guy in the background, we're going to dip here into the 1-4-5 situation. So what exactly is a 1-4-5 chord progression? Those are chords built off the first, fourth, and fifth notes of the scale. So we're going to backtrack just a little bit into some music theory here. And remember that a scale, a diatonic scale, is a 7-note scale. There are 7 different notes, and then we end with the same note we began with. So if we begin with the first note, also called the root, we then play 8 notes until we reach that same note pitched an octave higher. That's a total of 8 notes. So we have an 8-note scale, but 7 of those notes are different. So if we give every single one of those notes a number, 1 through 7, and lay them out, we can then start getting into developing chords out of that scale. Now here's a fun little trick. So we've got D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, and C sharp, 7 notes. And all of those numbers underneath represent each note. Now, what we want to do here is we want to use not Arabic numerals, but Roman numerals. And as you can see down here, you'll see 1, 4, and 5 are uppercase, and 2, 3, and 6 are lowercase, and then 7 is lowercase with a little degree symbol next to it. You might have seen those before and thought, yeah, that's a little too intense and scary for me. I'm not even going to bother learning about that. But this is really a building block situation for you to understand music theory, and it is a lot easier than it looks. So if we were to build chords off of every single note of the scale, using that note as a root, all you would have to do is hop every other note to find out what chords you're dealing with, what the notes are inside of those chords. For example, let's start with D. If we build off of the first note of the D major scale, using D as the root, we're just going to go along the scale and we're going to hop over every other note. So we start with D, we're going to hop E and go to F sharp. F sharp is going to be the second note of the D major chord. Then we're going to hop over G, and that will take us to A. So remember, every other note we're going to add starting with the root. Whatever note we skip, we're not going to add. So if we hop, skip, and jump from D, we will end up with D, F sharp, and A for a D major chord. Now, if we go from the fourth note of the D major scale, which is G, we start with G, we hop over A and go to B, we hop over C sharp and go to D. So G, B, and D are the 3 notes inside of a G major chord. You can do this for every one of the 7 chords that are naturally occurring inside of every single major scale. That's kind of a neat trick. All you have to do is memorize the scale, and from there you can figure out what all the chords are. So the reason that 1, 4, and 5 are uppercase is if you follow this hop, skip, and jump pattern, you will end up with major chords for the first, fourth, and fifth notes of the scale, or the chords D, G, and A. Now, what about those lowercase numbers there? If you do this hop, skip, and a jump thing with the second, third, and sixth notes of the scale, you're going to end up with minor chords. Now remember, major chords are up and happy, and minor chords are kind of sad and serious. So if you start the hop, skip, and jump sequence with 1, 4, or 5, you will end up with the notes to make major chords. If you do the hop, skip, and jump sequence on 2, 3, and 6, you'll end up with the ingredients for a minor chord. And if you start the jump sequence from the 7th scale degree, you'll end up with what's called a diminished chord, which sounds like this. It's not major, it's not minor, it's very odd, very quizzical. And that's what the diminished chord sounds like. For every single major scale and for every single key that we're playing in, we're going to have 3 major chords that are naturally occurring, 3 minor chords that are naturally occurring, and 1 diminished chord that is naturally occurring. Those are all of the chords we get to work with for every single key. Now, mind you, this is going to change every single time we get into a new key and a new scale. We could do this with the A major scale, the G major scale, the E flat major scale, so forth and so on. This formula will still apply. Put 7 different notes up there, do the hop, skip, and jump, and you'll quickly be able to figure out what is inside each one of those chords and whether the chord is major, minor, or diminished. Now, we're going to scale that back a little bit and focus just on 3 chords that are the most important chords you're ever going to learn, and that's the 1, 4, 5 chord. Why is it important? Because these are the only 3 naturally occurring major chords that you're going to find in any given key. And major chords, generally speaking, are used a lot more than minor chords in folk music and all kinds of music from all around the world. They're just happy chords. People like being happy, and so these 3 chords are the most popular, and you can just sing and play hundreds and thousands of tunes just by using these 3 chords. So the theory here is, if you know these 3 chords in a lot of different keys, that makes you able to play along with just about anything, and that's why we're going to focus on these today. I'll show you how to get all this stuff together. Okay, so let's look at 1, 4, 5 in the key of D. Again, those chords are going to be D, G, and A. So starting off with the D chord, the 1 chord, we can do 2, 0, we can do 2, 0, 0, or 0, 0, 2, 2, 3, 4, or that's 4, 3, 2 actually. This is 2, 3, 4. We've got 4, 5, 7. 7, 5, 4. We've got 7, 7, 9. And 9, 7, 7. Those are all D major chords, all over the fretboard in the first octave here and getting into the second octave. Then we've got our 4 chord built off the 4th note of the D major scale, that's G. We can play 3, 1, 0 or 0, 1, 3. These are basically inverted versions of these chords. I'm just flipping them over and giving them a different voicing. Those notes inside of the chord are at different pitches when I flip the chord over. We can go 3, 3, 5 and 5, 3, 3. We can go 5, 6, 7 and 7, 6, 5. Building off of the 5th note of the scale is A major. We can do a 1, 2, 4 chord, 4, 2, 1, 4, 4, 6 and a half, 6 and a half, 4, 4, 6 and a half, 7, 8, 8, 7, 6 and a half. So one of the most important things that you can do is to memorize the location of all of those D majors, all of those G majors, and all of those A majors. And that's going to help you a lot down the road, whether you're in the jam, or whether you're trying to figure out a new tune, or whether you're trying to write a tune. Having those options of knowing where all of the 1, 4, 5 chords are going to make you absolutely dangerous in every situation you can find yourself in. So it's really important to know where those are. It's also important to know what notes are inside of those chords as well. But each one of these chords, what was that? Each one of these chords is made up of 3 notes, and those 3 notes are based off the 1st, 3rd, and 5th notes of the associated scale. So A major, A, C sharp, and E are your 3 notes. A is the 1st note, C sharp is the 3rd note, and 5 is, or E is the 5th note. Now, as soon as we get our chord together in that particular key, then we look at the scale and we find out what 3 chords are going to be our 1, 4, 5. In the case of A, let's look at the 1st note of the A major scale. That's going to be A. Then we'll go A, B, C sharp, D. D is the 4th note of the A major scale, which means that D major is going to be the 4 chord. And then E. E is going to be the 5th note of the A major scale. It's the 5 chord, so A, D, and E are going to be your 1, 4, 5 chords for the key of A for A major. So if we wanted to do that, we could do something like this: 1, 2, 4. And then we could go to D major. We could bar at the 1 for an E5, which is not exactly a full E major chord, but it's still the same basic thing. And then back to A. Listen to how that sounds. I'll do the same thing with G major now. Listen to how it sounds. It'll sound a bit different, but the movement of chords will sound the same. G. So we got 1 to C, to D, back to G. G is the 1 chord. C is the 4th note of the scale, the 4 chord. D is the 5 chord, 5th note of the scale. And then back to G. And then we go back on to D major with our 1, 4, 5, starting with D. To the 4 chord, which is G. To the A chord, which is A, 5 chord. And then back to D. So I could do Boil Them Cabbage with the 1, 4, 5 chords because those are the only 3 chords in that tune. Boil them cabbage down, boys, turn them hoe cakes round. The only song that I can sing is Boil Them Cabbage Down, but in a different key. Boil them cabbage down, boys, turn them hoe cakes round. The only song that I can sing is Boil Them Cabbage Down. And now A. Boil them cabbage down, boys, turn them hoe cakes around. The only song that I can sing is Boil Them Cabbage Down. So I hope that gives you an idea that the 1, 4, 5 chords, no matter what your key is, they're going to have the same feeling when they move from place to place. And that's sort of the idea here with understanding the movement of chords as they go from place to place. The 1, 4, 5 chords have a very specific pull to them, and they're very, very strong. All 3 of these chords are really strong inside of the scale. So after a while, when you're in the jam, you'll be listening to a piece of music flow by, and you'll be able to hear when the 1 chord moves to the 4 chord, when it moves back to the 1 chord, when it moves to the 5 chord, just by playing these over and over again. In fact, one little hint is to listen to the bass, the lowest tone you can hear in the chord. And when you hear these chords move, let's say let's go from D to G. Let's take just the bass note. So we're going to go from D to G. That's using the root note of the D major chord, the 1 chord, going to the G major chord root, G. That note right there by itself, going to the next note by itself, is an interval. We're going from D to G. And that interval is the interval of a fourth, a perfect fourth. It sounds like, here comes the bride. So you can actually hear that interval of here comes when that chord moves from the 1 chord to the 4 chord, no matter what. Here comes the bride. Let's do that with G. Here comes the bride. Let's do it with A now. We're going to go from A to D. Here comes the bride. Here comes the bride. Here comes the bride. So you can hear very clearly the space in between the 1 chord and the 4 chord. You can hum Here Comes the Bride with that. Now, how about the space in between the 1 and the 5? The 1 and the 5 is going to sound like the first dee-dee-dee, the first note and the third note of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, Ba Ba Black Sheep, or there's another one, the ABC song. A, B, C, D, that's going from D to A, from the 1 chord root to the 5 chord root. A, B, C, D. Now let's put our chords in there. A, B, C, D, Ba, Ba, Black Sheep. Let's go from G to D. Ba, Ba, Black Sheep. That's going from the root of the 1 chord in G major to the 5th root of the D major. Ba, Ba, Black Sheep. C, D. With A, we can go from here. A, the root of the 1 chord. E, the root of the 5 chord. Ba, ba, black sheep. So we can go A, B, C, D. So what you can do is you can experiment with these while you're playing through different chords and see if you can detect, with all the different types of chords we've got, if you can tell when the 1 chord is moving to the 4 chord, or when the 1 chord is moving to the 5 chord, or when the 4 chord is moving to the 5 chord, and vice versa. So just to recap a little bit here, our 1, 4, 5 chords are going to be the same position and interval and relationship to each other, no matter what key we're playing in. When we're playing in a key, the 1st, 4th, and 5th notes of the scale are going to be the ones we build chords off of that create naturally occurring major chords. And these are the 3 most popular chords in the Western musical world. People love using these major chords, and they're very simple, they're very powerful, and they want to lead to each other very easily, which makes for the writing of music very, very simple. So if you want to figure out what these chords are, what the ingredients are, all you have to do is write out the 7 notes of the scale or have them memorized. Start with the note that you want to build a chord off of, and then hop and skip. And you're going to add every other note to that chord until you have 3 total. You can do this from the 1st note of the scale, the 2nd note of the scale, the 3rd note of the scale. Every single note of the scale you can build, hopping, skipping, and jumping until you have found the ingredients for all 3 major chords, all 3 minor chords, and that 1 single strange sounding diminished chord. Once you're familiar with how those chords move back and forth, what they sound like when they go back and forth, it's going to open up a new level of perspective for you when you're playing. And this is mighty, mighty stuff. So I hope this has cleared some things up, and we're going to go deeper. There's so much more to cover in music theory, and we're going to give you, again, just enough to be dangerous. If you have any questions, you can always drop me a line at bingfutch@yahoo.com. Also, make sure you look down into the video description for this episode and look at the Dulcimerica episode guide. It has all the information, the release dates, and the episode numbers for all of the episodes of Dulcimerica. So if you're looking for something in particular, check that link, and it's updated every single week with new episodes. Thanks again, everybody. I'll be back next week with more to look at in the scale degrees. I'll introduce the minor 6 chord, the minor 3 chord. In fact, we'll get into all the minors and eventually work our way around to that rascally 7th degree. Until next time, my friends, this is Bing Futch. We'll see you then.